Well, you know something? It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've done the film fan reviews. I'm starting to think I might not have it anymore, but let's give it one more shot. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Film Fan Reviews, and I am Steve. And if you didn't know that, well, you know it now. And this time, we're just going to talk about one movie because you haven't seen this face in a long time, unless you're on the Adam and Steve Show. Definitely subscribe to that channel if you haven't already, and listen to all our podcasts. It's a good time, but I haven't been here in some time, so let's just do our February rundown in the theater. Follow me on Letterboxd if you want to see everything that I watch. I literally log everything I watch, whether it's a rewatch or anything. I give you a little blurb at least. Sometimes it's a joke, sometimes it's serious, but sometimes it's a mix of both, which I try to do most of the time. But my February rundown of releases follows I think it's just called Companion, and then we'll do Hard Eyes. We'll cover that Valentine's Day release. We'll get Captain America Brave New World in there, and the movie I just walked out of being Osgood Perkins' new movie, The Monkey. Now, let's start back at February 1st. I went and saw Companion, and that movie was a pleasant surprise. Now, I highly recommend you don't watch any trailers for this movie if you can avoid it. A lot of people have probably seen them already, especially if you're an avid theater goer as myself. You see the trailer a lot, or you see the commercials, especially on YouTube and things like that. But if you can, avoid everything about this movie, because the less you know, the better the payoffs are in this movie. Because there's some twists, there's some turns, a lot of humor in here. We have the guy that I can never remember his name. He plays Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows on the TV show. He's been in a ton of different things recently, but he's hilarious. We have a few different people in here. Jack Quaid, I mean, you know him from The Boys, and he was in Scream 5, and he's been in a lot of different stuff since then, but he's fantastic in this movie. I mean, he's the son of Dennis Quaid, and he definitely has that Dennis Quaid craziness to him, and he even touches into his uncle Randy Quaid a little bit in there too, which that man's gone a little bit off the deep end since of all the National Lampoon's Christmas stuff, but I digress. The movie's a lot of fun. I gave it like a 4 out of 5. I highly recommend it. Like I said, don't go seeing anything about it. Just go in blind, and I think you'll have the best time you can. But next up on our list, staying in that kind of like romantic horror thriller-esque area, we're gonna go to Hard Eyes. Now, Hard Eyes kind of like plays in that Scream territory where like it's funny, but there's some very violent, brutal murders in this movie. Like, I want to say that the Hard Eyes killer, I mean, on the same tone of like we're having like a renaissance with all our slashers, like Art the Clown. I mean, we have like John Carver from Thanksgiving and so many other different things. And honestly, I think Hard Eyes could join this new cast of horror slashers that we're having a renaissance of, because this movie has a ton of really fun kills. And I can't say enough that it kind of reminded me a lot of Scream, being a big Scream fan that I am, and can't wait for Scream 7, but this kind of fills that gap in between, because, I mean, we have Mason Gooding, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, who's in the Scream franchise. He's one of the main characters in this movie, and one of the best parts about this is that they really, like, play into, like, the romantic comediness of it. Like, they didn't just, like, half-ass it. Like, at the beginning, it feels like a lot of the Hallmark movies that you watch at the beginning where, like, they just randomly run into each other, and things happen and they start going on this date, and then just craziness ensues. And it's a lot of fun to watch, especially around the Valentine's Day season. I know we're past that now, but if you have a date and you want to take someone to the theater, this is that perfect kind of movie. I don't think it's too violent, and it kind of has that balance of the funniness and the horror to it. I mean, we have, I think her name's Olivia Holt or something. She's fantastic in this too, but so much fun things going on here, and I gave that one a 4 out of 5 too, which might be a common ranking here, but I might even bump that one up to a 5 out of 5. I mean, I absolutely had a great time watching it. Let me know in the comments any of these movies what you think too. I'd love to chat with you. But moving on from that, we're gonna go to the one that probably is lower on a lot of people's list than mine, even though I didn't love it either, and that is Captain America Brave New World. Now, like I said, I didn't hate it at all. It's definitely a fun movie. It's not perfect. I mean, I really wish we would have got more Red Hulk than we did. I guess spoilers, but we really didn't get a whole lot of him in this movie, unfortunately. I mean, you kind of had to know that with who we have as the Red Hulk. I mean, Harrison Ford already said he's kind of done with a lot of these different franchise movies, so the fact that they even got him in this was pretty cool, but I knew he wasn't going to do a whole lot in this. But the fact that he does have some role in this, he does do a good with his screen time, and it kind of has, especially at the beginning, we have like the Winter Soldier feeling to this movie, but we kind of lose it halfway in, and we kind of just fall into the Marvel tropiness that I don't hate, but it's something that leaves stuff to be desired, if you know what I'm saying. And I give this movie like a 3.5. I really enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, but I'm looking forward to more movies coming. I can't say that I'm like overly excited about the summer slate coming up, but the thing I'm excited most about is the new Daredevil show, which is coming pretty quick on Disney Plus. So let me know what your favorite upcoming Marvel project is. I mean, probably in the movies, I think Fantastic Four is probably the highest on my list right now, but I'm excited for it. I mean, I enjoyed this movie for what it was. Anthony Mackie was pretty good. I enjoyed him. I enjoy him more in other movies, I think, but here he's fine. I don't know. I'm excited for more to come in the MCU, but I'm not like dying to go see stuff, if you get what I'm saying. But moving on to our final movie, the movie I just got done seeing, and the movie I want to talk about the most, I think, right now, because there's just a whole lot to talk about, and that is Osgood Perkins' new movie, The Monkey. Now, this is based off of a short story by Stephen King, which I'm a huge King fan, but I'm not familiar with the story yet. I'll probably go read the short story sometime soon, but I love Osgood Perkins' movie. I highly recommend it to everyone that I can remember telling. The Black Coat's Daughter. I won the movie from the Schmoes Know show back in the day. I won the code. Or actually I won the Blu-ray in the contest or whatever, so I have the digital code too. I watched it like 2 years ago, like not long before they announced that he was going to work with Nicolas Cage on Longlegs. So I was like, I got to see this movie to see what's going on. And it's a slow burn, but it is a great horror movie. And of course, everyone's probably seen Longlegs by now. And Nick Cage just goes absolutely nuts in that movie. And it's a pretty fun movie too. But here, we do not really follow in that same vein whatsoever. This movie, like, is straight up a horror comedy. Like, one thing I always like to coin, like, Peter Jackson's older movies, he did like some horror crazy comedy stuff back in the day, especially when he was home in New Zealand, and he coined it like splatstick, and this movie falls in that genre perfectly. There is some goofiness, there are some brutal kills in this movie, some great cinematography too, similar to like his other movies in the past. I don't know if it's the same cinematographer, but shot beautifully. But this movie takes the piss out of everything that's going on. I mean, there are moments where like it tries to play up the dramatics, and I think you have to have that to kind of like ground the movie in at least some way to kind of keep it not too bizarre and just feel totally weird. But that's what this movie is. This movie's totally weird. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it takes turns, and it's just a weird fucking movie. I mean, we have the star of the movie being Theo. Is it Theo James? I mean, correct me in editing if I'm wrong, Steve, me, but it's the guy from 50 Shades of Grey, and I mean, he kind of felt like a wooden board in those movies, quite honestly. He wasn't that great. The actor we have here is Theo James, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's in like the Divergent movies with Shailene Woodley, but I only saw the first one of those, so truly I'm not familiar with a lot of his work, but he plays two different roles in this movie, is all I'll say, and he plays them quite well. And I mean, there's so much going on in this movie. We have Osgood Perkins even playing a cameo in this, and quite honestly made me laugh quite a bit playing the uncle. And there's a lot of comedy in here, but there's a lot of just like catching you off guard with how brutal some of the shit is at this. But overall, I give this one, like, I want to give it a full 5 out of 5 just because I love the balls that this movie has. And especially coming off of Longlegs, I feel like it's going to push a lot of people away from this movie because they're going to expect something more dark and really like straight up horror, which this movie really isn't that. It's more of a comedy first off more than anything. But I was laughing quite a bit. There's only one other person in the movie theater while I was there, and it was a white-haired, probably 70-year-old woman who I don't think really enjoyed herself, because I can't say she laughed once, but I hope she enjoyed it because I enjoyed it quite a bit. And let me know what you think of The Monkey, because I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it, maybe even a 4.5 out of 5. Like, I want to watch this movie again right now. It's that weird and interesting. Well, now hold on real quick, because I have something to say. It is March 2nd now, so it's not technically February anymore, but it is a February release because it already came out, like, pretty sure it came out in February anyway. Don't quote me on that, because I think March 1st was on a Saturday, so it came out on the 28th or something like that of February, so it counts. And it is Last Breath, I believe is what it's called. It's based off a documentary, which I was not familiar with going into it. I saw the trailer, but didn't really know a whole lot about it other than Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and some underwater diving, which, I mean, if you know me, I'm not a big fan of like underwater stuff. Truly, it scares the shit out of me because I don't like being like, claustrophobia is a huge thing for me. I'm a big guy. I don't like being in small spaces. So knowing that I'm confined underwater, like drowning is like one of my top 10 fears for sure. It may even be my top one, because like there's no really fighting the water, and that's truly what this movie is. Like, it's this guy totally gets separated from the group. He loses he loses the oxygen connect and everything, and he's literally stranded underwater, and the crew is getting pushed by the weather and everything. And the guy playing, I believe he was Scottish or something. Correct me in editing, Steve, if I'm wrong, but the actor, he's in like the Animal Kingdom TV show. I cannot recall his name at the moment, but he was fantastic in that role. He does the accents well. I don't even know if he's actually American or not, truly, but he's done American accents well before this, and he did the Scottish accent pretty good too, so I'll give him that. But Simu pretty much plays himself for the most part. He kind of starts off kind of brooding asshole, but he grows into being a cooler guy. But Woody Harrelson, if you love Woody Harrelson, you're gonna love him in this role, because he makes me laugh in this. He made me cry in this. Like, I wrote it in my little Letterboxd review. It's like, when Woody Harrelson cries, he makes me like sadder than seeing my own dad cry. Like, it's truly just something to look at. But regardless of all of that, this movie, it's in that weird range where like I enjoyed it. It's not anything special. Like, I probably won't turn it on just for like enjoyment, but to show people the cool like underwater photography and everything, like I don't know how much they actually did. I'm very curious to see the behind the scenes stuff here, because the filmmaker that directed this, I believe I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but I know he directed the actual documentary, and I think he's mainly a documentarian if I'm not mistaken, but he adapted this from his own creation in a way. I mean, the story happened, but he made the documentary, and it's pretty cool to see that he got to have control of his own project in a way and kind of bring it to life, where it kind of gets, in a lot of aspects, things get taken by Hollywood and don't really turn out the way they would. So I'm curious to see his thoughts on the end product here. But overall, like I said, I'd probably put it around like a 3.5 to a 4. I think I'm gonna give it the edge just because I really enjoyed myself. I got caught up in the emotions of it. The pacing's not great. It feels like some moments are like boom, 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 we're going, and then it just totally like drops off sometimes, and that's not great. But it is only like a 90-minute movie, so it doesn't hold you too long. But if you tried to hold your breath during the underwater scenes, good luck, because my man lasted a long ass time under there. But I mean, this is just a crazy story, and even if you know the ending of it, I highly just encourage you to watch it, because the performances are good. Like I said, the cinematography and everything, I think they had both like a regular cinematographer and an underwater cinematographer, so I'm pretty sure they did a lot of stuff, and these actors probably had to train a lot to do this kind of stuff. So overall, it's a really good watch. If you're into this kind of stuff, I highly recommend it. I don't think it's one to rush out to the theater to see, but if you can see it in the theater, the sound and everything, it's going to be a better experience than just seeing it at home. But overall, like I said, it's like that 3.5 to a 4 range. Let me know what you thought of it, and I'm going to send you back to old Steve, but also put in the comments, what was your February release, like the favorite one and the worst one? I want to talk about them, and yeah, go back to old Steve. Hope you did good. There's a lot of good stuff coming out of horror right now, and I can't wait to see more. I mean, earlier this year, we had some weird stuff going on. I mean, even with the not Winnie the Pooh, the Poohniverse actually, but the Peter Pan movie I saw, that movie was weird, but not horrible. But the whole Poohniverse thing is going on more, and honestly, horror is in a very weird place right now, but a lot of great shit is coming out. Last year was great. This upcoming slate seems like a lot of fun, especially for the horror comedy genre. So let me know your thoughts on any of these movies or any upcoming movies that I should touch on, and I'll see you next time. Subscribe to The Adam Steve Show. Do it, and you won't have any popcorn.